This episode is brought to you by ARX. You want to be a successful strength training studio owner. The problem is you aren't able to deliver the safest, most efficient and effective workouts, making it harder for you to attract and retain clients, which makes you feel frustrated. I understand that it can be difficult to differentiate your business without the right tools. ARX's breakthrough adaptive resistance technology uses patented motorized resistance and computer software to give you and your clients the perfect workout every single time. BioFit founder John Zarbok says that ARX is clearly the superior tool to deliver the exercise stimulus. My clients are seeing insane improvements in weeks, not months. I could not fathom running my business without ARX. So here's how you get started. Number one, go to arxfit.com/HIB to get $500 off your ARX machines. Number two, book a call with the ARX sales team. And number three, learn how ARX can help you grow your strength training business. Go to arxfit.com/HIB so you can stop struggling to attract and retain clients and start to grow your strength training business with confidence. Lawrence Steele here, and welcome back to highintensitybusiness.com, the podcast where we discuss high-intensity strength training and provide you with the tools, the tactics, and strategies to grow your strength training business. This is episode 359, and today's topic is Resistance Exercise Conference 2022. Today's guests are Luke Carson and Hannah Johnson from Discover Strength. How are you doing, guys? Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. We're doing great.
Good. So obviously I'm thrilled to have you guys on podcast because I love what you're doing with the conference. It's the best strength training and resistance exercise business conference on the planet. So I'm excited to learn about what you guys are doing this year. So why don't you give us an overview of what to expect?
Yeah, well, that's a broad question. Do you want us to start with kind of schedule or what the couple days look like?
Yes, that sounds great.
Yeah. So, Hannah, if it's okay, I'll start and just kind of walk through what the schedule looks like. So we have for the first time ever, we have a pre-conference on Thursday. So on Thursday for 3 hours, James Fisher and I will be doing a deep dive where he'll do half of it and I'll do half of it. And he's doing essentially three different components. The first one is a deep dive on anatomy and physiology. And we were actually just reviewing his content last night on this. And I will say I selfishly am excited to attend that portion because he's going to go so deep on our current understanding of things like muscle contraction and the physiology of muscle hypertrophy and things that, just to be clear, most high-intensity training practitioners just don't know. Even if you have an undergraduate degree in exercise science, exercise physiology, he's going to give us kind of the latest understanding of that physiology. So I'm thrilled to have him walk through that. I got excited just reading all of his notes last night, kind of going back and forth on email. So that's his first segment. His second segment, he's going to go over 8 key research studies that really guide what the high intensity training practitioner is doing. And, Lawrence, I kind of have this controversial take that we all like to say we're evidence-based, but the reality is no one's reading the science. And so we say we're evidence-based, but really we just read Body by Science a few years ago. And now that's not supposed to be derogatory. There's a heck of a lot of your listeners and our attendees that do read scientific research, but most of them do not. So he's going to go through 8. And so we really understand what is the scientific foundation of what I'm actually doing, what's the research foundation of what I'm actually doing. Then we'll transition to my segment, which is all about growing the high intensity training business. So I'll spend about an hour and a half on that. Then we'll come back to James and he'll do a final segment on application. So he's going to get into specific exercises, the biomechanics, the coaching, the teaching of specific exercises, and kind of challenge how we've taught exercises in the past and maybe affirm what we already know and challenge some of the things that we are currently doing. So that's his third segment. We're so excited about that. And then for those pre-conference attendees, we'll do a dinner afterwards with James and I. So that's a smaller group. Now, Hannah, how does someone register for that?
So you can register for that just on our registration page, and it's $99 to attend that pre-conference. So we have a ton of people that typically come in the day before anyways. And it's just a great opportunity to get some more learning in, more connection with other high intensity practitioners.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like a total no-brainer.
Yeah, we're doing it in the afternoon. So it's 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It'll lead right up to that dinner. And it's going to be some in-depth learning. I have this opinion that I think I need it. I think a lot of high intensity practitioners need the refresher course on things like the anatomy and physiology. This is your one-stop shop to get completely refreshed and up to speed on the exercise science part and then also the business part. So that'll be Thursday.
Yeah. And it's such an intimate setting so that you can ask a ton of questions and have more dialogue, whereas in the conference, it's not as intimate.
Yeah, we're planning it totally as a workshop. Where everyone's kind of interacting and discussing, and there's breakouts and different roundtable discussions and so forth.
I mean, just think at that price point, would you ever get that intimate access to someone like Dr. James Fisher? It's just amazing, right? And this is something I'm sure we'll talk about more, Luke and Hannah. You know, it's such a great investment in your trainer. Like we're talking all the time about on the podcast about the importance of honing the craft and delivering great workouts to grow your business. And this is an opportunity to really invest in the team, isn't it?
I totally agree. I mean, that's going to be, I think, the theme of our discussion today is it's a great way to upskill the exercise professional. But it's also, we always say this, it's not that if you're passionate about something, you'll go learn about it. It's that learning drives passion. So when you learn a little bit more about the physiology of muscle contraction, your passion for all of it drives, right? Increases. When you really start to understand the mechanisms of hypertrophy, you get that much more passionate about all of it. And so I will make this note. James could mail this in and it would still be really, really effective because he's that knowledgeable. But the number of emails he's gone back and forth with me on and his preparation for his content is incredible. Like he is really preparing. And I love that about him is that he's not mailing it in and he wants to really put on something special. And Lawrence, you know this, and Hannah and I have experienced this 100 times in our careers where someone has a reputation and it's just great to be in front of them and they could share the same stuff that they've shared at 100 different other events. Everything he's doing is bespoke for this. He's really pushing it. He's emailing me back and forth nonstop saying, I think we should add this element. I'm going to tweak this element. I'm going to teach this. This is how I'm going to teach it. So I'm excited about his commitment to make it really special.
Yeah, that does sound really exciting. And this is a little bit of an aside, but I just want to mention it. As I think it's on my mind at the moment. I'm reading Cal Newport's book, So Good They Can't Ignore You. And it talks about building career capital, the better you get at a job or craft or what have you. And by doing so, you become more rare and valuable. So I think the mindset of the business owner in terms of sending their team and obviously coming along themselves, but really thinking about their team and their trainers is you're creating trainers whose skill set is rare and valuable. The more you invest in stuff like this, which is ultimately what's going to drive the business. So I know I said that earlier in a different way, but I just think that's so important.
You framed it up with Cal's perspective, and I think you just worded it absolutely perfectly.
Thank you, Luke. So that sounds amazing, the pre-conference. Then what's next?
So now we move on to Friday. So Friday starts off at noon with a studio bus tour. So we did this a couple years ago, pre-pandemic. We'll have buses lined up in front of the JW Marriott. We should just stop and comment on that. The conference is at the JW Marriott, which if you're not familiar with how Marriott properties work, this is a JW. So this is their most upscale property. It's connected to the Mall of America. It is just an unbelievable hotel, an unbelievable venue. And it's so close to the airport. So it's just a couple minutes from the airport and you have the Mall of America right there. Do you want to comment on the JW and the Mall of America?
Yeah, so it's a beautiful property, probably one of those beautiful properties that we've been to before. We have been there once before, 4 years ago.
I think it was like probably. 2017, maybe.
Yeah, I think the key is we have a ton of people coming in from out of town for this conference, and nothing is convenient than staying at the JW Marriott. There's probably free shuttles, light rail. Accessibility is totally there, but not to mention you're also at a destination with the Mall of America. We probably go to the Mall of America too often, but for someone who has never been to the United States or even to Minnesota, Mall of America is a great destination.
It's a top tourist attraction, one of the biggest malls in the world. And the reason we did that, one of the reasons we did it is we wanted to be able to have someone say, well, I want to come to the conference, but frankly, I got a small child, I have a spouse. Well, my goodness, that's why we planned it this way. So your spouse would come with, you're paying for the hotel anyways, and your spouse can check out Mall of America. And when we say Mall of America has the largest indoor theme park in the world. So you go to Nickelodeon Universe, hang out at the theme park, you play mini golf, you
go to a movie, you can
all the things. All the things. So it doesn't have to just be a shopping spree. So we wanted to plan it as the family getaway. You can go to a conference and do your thing. Family can do, spouse can do their thing with kids, and then you could connect later in the hotel. So
and the most wonderful thing about the JW Marriott is the price point that we have at it. So it's $149 a night, which I think is pretty much unheard of to stay.
I just looked at the JW Marriott for the New York City Marathon, and it was $600 a night.
Yeah.
So it is that price point for a JW Marriott's unheard of.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I wondered if that was a discrepancy there, but no, that's amazing. Okay, so you got the tour.
We start with the tour. So you hop on the bus. We'll have box lunches for you, and then we go visit 4 or 5 studios. So we're going to see the brand new Fitness First location, Steve Ritz's newest location. He moved one of his original location, and it's got a beautiful brand new construction facility. So we'll check that out. We'll check out a Discover Strength franchise. We'll just check out a Discover Strength corporate location. And we have a few other locations that have nothing to do with Discover Strength that try to get on the periphery of kind of what high intensity training practitioners are used to seeing. So that'll be for just a couple hours on Friday. That is optional. Is that an increased charge depending on their registration?
Nope, it's included in all access. So we have a couple different registrations, which we can touch on at the end. On levels. So that's included in all access and premium.
Yeah. So then they have a little bit of a break after that bus tour. I think that wraps up at 3:00. Conference gets going at 4:30. And the conference is Friday night, Friday afternoon and evening. And then it's all day Saturday. So Friday night ends with a social, drinks, hangout, talk. Saturday ends, and this is just the second time we've done this now, and it is the right decision. Saturday ends with a sit-down dinner. So it's a dinner, and that moves into the rec bash. In previous years, Lawrence, when you've been there, we had some drinks and some maybe desserts and music, and it was a party. But now we've turned it into very much a formal dinner. So we have a dinner, and that's when we do the rec awards. And so we think the rec awards and that dinner itself are enough of a reason to attend this. We should probably stop and mention this right now. The vision of the conference is not primarily to listen to Brad Schoenfeld and James Fisher and James Steele and Stu Phillips deliver great content and simply learn. This is the one meeting of the year, the one gathering of the year for the high intensity training, strength training practitioner. That is the vision of REC. It is the one gathering place. Now, other industries have multiple different gathering places. Like we're very involved in the health club world. There's multiple different annual health club gatherings that you choose to go to. This is the one high intensity training gathering. And so we feel like you got to be at that dinner. We want this dinner to become something that people just don't miss out on. You bring your spouse, you're at that dinner, you enjoy seeing the awards, maybe you win an award yourself, and then it's an evening of dancing and maybe some drinking and some collegiality. That's the vision of the conference. Do you want to add anything to that? That this is really a gathering more than it is a conference?
Yeah, I think over the years, more and more people that attend, that's the comments that we get the most is around, oh my gosh, I've heard this person speak before, or I knew about their studio in New York, but I've never actually interacted with this person, or I've seen them online, but I've never actually interacted with this person. And then this is the place where they actually interact. And frankly, people fall in love with each other. I mean, they just become best friends. And there's no other gathering, no other conference that really does that. And so it's a really special event.
And let me just say, that's not our bias in saying that, because we talk every day. If someone else wants to take this conference over for us and run it, they can do that and we'll just attend it.
Yeah.
So this is not like a bias statement that, hey, we're putting it on, it's the one gathering. I wish somebody else would start a different gathering and then we wouldn't do this anymore, but it is one gathering.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we would never turn this into like a virtual event where you can just watch the conference sessions, because it is only partially about learning and is mainly about connecting with your colleagues. And that connection with colleagues can often be learning also. Like we like to say that our audience is generally just as bright or brighter than our speakers. And so having the conversation with all the experienced practitioners and other researchers and thought leaders, that is so incredibly valuable, right? You learn just as much from the person on your left and your right as you do from the person on stage. So maybe we should transition to talking about who our keynotes are.
Yeah, let's do it.
And their folks.
Yes.
So some of the names your audience is pretty darn familiar with. Lawrence, I'm not overstating when I say we should probably rename this rec like Super Rec 2022, because everybody we reached out to just said yes as a keynote. And that rarely happens that it just works for everyone's schedule. We probably have too many big names in the academic world for one conference. So we have Dr. James Fisher, who has spoken at every rec every rec since 2012, with the exception of last year in Vegas because of the travel ban. So he's back. We're excited about that. He's going to give a presentation on the research on supervision and strength training. So he'll be our keynote. He will also be our Friday night workout demo. So he's going to do a workout demo Friday night. So
he loves doing the workout demo, that guy.
Say that again?
I said he loves doing the workout demo, that guy.
James. Yes. So I'll let Hannah introduce another keynote.
Yeah, so we have Christy Eschwanden, she's a journalist. She's a science journalist. She's also the best-selling author of Good to Go, which is all about recovery after exercise, which is a fascinating book. We have a ton of people that have read it. Luke has read it. And she's also going to be on our podcast pretty soon here talking about that as well. She is absolutely fascinating, and her topic is going to be the science of recovery. So it's all about that book. So she's going to be a huge headliner.
And I think you know this, Lawrence, because you read the book. I think you're the one that turned me on to the book. As our speakers go, she's actually among your listeners, probably the least well-known. No one's heard of her. But among all of our speakers, she's by far the best known, right? It's pretty hard for us to land a New York Times bestseller. We have clients cut out articles in newspapers all the time. We had a client, 85-year-old client, cut out an article in the New York Times, and it was written by her. And our staff was like, wow, she's like a big deal. So she is, her reputation kind of precedes her outside of the HIIT community. And I think she's going to give us some different perspective. And Lawrence, I know you're very familiar with that because you read her book. You turned me on to her book.
This episode is brought to you by ARX. These are the most intense exercise machines I've ever used. I remember how fast the pull-down exercise took me to muscular failure and beyond. On the final negative or eccentric excursion, my tank was practically empty, but the adaptive resistance enabled me to continue to perform work until the predetermined end of the set. This experience was very profound and made me realize how effective ARX is in helping clients reach a high level of intensity in their workouts and ultimately produce the best results. I also love how ARX measures and tracks range of motion, rep cadence, total output and time, and more with real-time audio and visual feedback. These features are powerful sales and retention tools to help you convert and keep more clients. As a listener of the High Intensity Business podcast, ARX is offering you $500 off your machines. Just go to arxfit.com/HIB to book a call with the ARX sales team to learn how ARX can revolutionize and grow your fitness business. Again, go to arxfit.com/HIB, and now back to the episode. Yeah, I think also a lot of her messaging will really resonate with our niche as well. We all like to think, and maybe we're right about the fact that training to muscular failure is all that we need, and it's a similar kind of concept when looking at her advice for recovery in terms of the few things that really matter in that regard. So I think that kind of melds quite nicely. And then you've got some other great keynotes too, right?
Yeah. So another one is Stu Phillips. This will be the first time Stu is keynoted for us. He did a keynote at our virtual rec, but the stars aligned and he's able to be in person. I think Stu's reputation precedes him. Last year, we had his former graduate student, Dr. Sarah Akawa, as a keynote, and she is absolutely brilliant. We've had his other graduate student, Rob Morton, speak a number of years ago, but now we get to have Stu, and Stu is going to talk about all things protein and how we can use an evidence-based approach to our strength training, our protein consumption to make sure we're maximizing hypertrophy.
Well, the actual
Go
subtitle here is an evidence-based approach to understanding the gains you're going to get, which I think is a brilliant subtitle.
Yeah, it's cheeky, which I like. It's pretty funny.
I'm sure that will resonate with a lot of the attendees.
And one of the things we love about Stu is, I think, the preeminent academic exercise physiologist worldwide right now. I mean, no one has a reputation like he does for producing great research, for producing great graduate students, for landing grant money to do great research. Stu is truly a world-class academic, so we're thrilled to have him. So I'll let Hannah move on to another keynote.
Yeah, so I'm sitting next to one of our keynotes.
Embarrassing.
And so Luke is going to be talking all about brand during this keynote, which he's never talked about before at REC. And it's just going to be absolutely fascinating, just understanding your brand inside out. So.
Yeah, last year I got to speak about exercise.
Yeah.
And this year with so many brilliant people speaking about exercise that I don't get to speak about exercise. It'll be our one really non-exercise topic. And I'm going to talk about how we can all build our businesses by building a brand. And the reality is no one knows what the heck brand is. So we got to understand what that is and talk about how we can actually make it actionable. What do we do when this conference is over to start building our brand?
That's actually the one I would. Now, I'll just say it now because I'm going to say it at some point. Unfortunately, obviously, I can't make it this year because of family stuff. But that would be the keynote, Luke. And I'm not just saying this because we're on a call together, that I would most look forward to. I'm so jealous that I can't attend that particular keynote and hear you talk about that because that sounds awesome.
Well, thank you for that. And on a selfish note, it's not about me at all, but I was telling Hannah, there's never been a rec where I've been more excited to present on a topic. I don't like to speak about anything unless I think it's critically important, unless I feel like I have some value to add. And I think this is such an important topic, and I'm so excited to address it. So you'll be missed, Lawrence, and I'll have to maybe send you my slides afterwards.
Yeah,
I would really appreciate that.
I'm excited about it because I've heard you speak a lot, and this is a topic that I've never heard you speak on, so I'm really excited about that.
It'll be fun. So we also have Dr. James Steele, and Dr. James Steele is keynoted rec in the past, and he, of course, is James Fisher's colleague, and he reached out to us and said, hey, I heard you're having Christy speak this year. And he's collaborated with Christy a lot in the past. And he said, I really think I should be at REC. Can I come? And I said, yes. And I said, do you want to speak? And he said, yes, I do want to speak. So go through all of his data. James has done so much work on compiling all this data from a number of different businesses on strength and hypertrophy over the long haul. So literally the title of his presentation is In It for the Long Haul, What to Expect from Resistance Training Over Time. And he will spark the incredible debate on all roads lead to Rome, which is something he said before and Skylar Tanner and a few others said before. We're going to find out if that's actually true. And then in the roundtable, we're going to have Stu and James Fisher and Brad say, is this actually their belief, their perspective as well? So that is going to absolutely kick off an unbelievable roundtable discussion. And before we get to that roundtable, you want to introduce Brad?
Yeah, so the last keynote that we have, second year in a row, is Brad Schoenfeld. So he is a researcher and professor of exercise science at Lehman College. Many of your listeners probably know who Brad Schoenfeld is. But he's going to be talking about time-efficient training. So all of the research behind that and guidelines and strategies for best practices. And frankly, going into last year's REC, I think there was a lot of people that didn't know if they really agreed with Brad. And there was a lot of like, are we gonna, our tight-knit community of high-intensity training studios and colleagues are like, man, he doesn't agree with everything that we say. And frankly, I would say our audience fell in love with him. He fell in love with us, and he just wanted to be a part of this community. And we're so happy to have him back.
Yeah, and we should be clear. I love James Fisher and I love James Steele. I hope they don't listen to this part. But Brad's a way bigger deal in terms of, my goodness, social media following, numbers of publications, textbooks sold. I am a huge fan of James Fisher and James Steele, and they have guided so much of what we do at Discover Strength. But Brad is the guy in muscle hypertrophy in terms of a massive following. And he is going to talk about something that Brad is not normally known for, which is time efficient training. That should be like Doug McGuff talking about that, not Brad Schoenfeld. So Brad's going to be a guy that's typically a higher volume guy, talk about what does his research say about time efficient training. So I think we have great perspectives there. You could never accuse us of continually putting together a lineup that is just the hit legends, right? We have a lineup of people that are thinking differently, that are approaching resistance exercise differently. And I'm proud of that. Sometimes I get nervous about it as well, but I'm proud of it. I think we're going to have great interchange when we actually get to that roundtable among all of them. Brad is another one who he speaks everywhere, speaks all around the world. And we were in Las Vegas last year and he was done speaking and we're walking to dinner and he turns to me and says, "Hey, I want to come back next year." And I thought, this is so cool. Brad is inviting himself back to speak at our conference next year. And what increases Brad's excitement is that Stu's going to be there. And what increases Stu's excitement is that Brad's going to be there. And what gets James excited is that Stu's going to, and so they're all excited to speak with each other and then be on a round table together. So yeah, I am so excited for that. Go ahead.
Not only is it a gathering of like our colleagues, but I think all of these researchers from across the world know each other's research and they see it, but they don't actually, it's like they're gathering too, which is really cool.
Yeah, so. I totally agree. So those are our keynotes. I think we have an unbelievable lineup of what we call Rec Talks. So do you want to introduce the Rec Talks, Hannah?
Yeah, so it's a new segment that we have this time around. We model it after TED Talks. So they're 15-minute segments where we have practitioners speak on a multitude of different topics. So we have Jeff Tomaszewski is going to be here. He's the owner of Next Strength and Fitness. He's going to be talking about leadership in the 21st century. Chris Rowell, she was a rapid speaker last year. She's the founder and CEO of Energetically Efficient. She's going to be speaking on creatine and how to get your clients better results in regards to creatine. Go ahead.
And then our next one is well, no, I'm just excited about him because I met him a year ago at a conference. Andrew Coates has, how many Instagram followers does Adam have? Or Andrew have? It's
probably like 24,000.
I think it's like 47,000. Yeah. I don't want to shortchange him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 24,000.
We'll just say 100,000.
He's got a massive, he's like Kardashian level in terms of Instagram followers. And I know that's not everything, but it turns out after I met him, I realized everybody in our hit space followed him. Owen Dockham said, "Oh, I love Andrew. I follow his stuff." And I think Jesse and Liam said the same thing. And Andrew is in Canada. He's the owner of Andrew Coates Fitness, and he's going to go through a talk about what we should actually be doing on our social media as an individual personal trainer. So the title of his talk is "The Lies That You Tell Yourself Why You're Not Creating and Sharing Content." And so he gave a version of this at a conference that I was at in Washington State last summer, and he was awesome. Andrew is one of the best read guys I've ever met in my life. I just totally hit it off with him, and we're thrilled to have him. He's outside of this kind of hit world. He knows obviously Brad very well, but we're thrilled to have Andrew. And I'll let you, Dr. Sean Prius is a college professor. Okay. He works closely with The Perfect Workout, personal trainer, heavily influenced by Fred Hahn many, many years ago, got a super slow background, but he also has the academic background, the PhD. He's going to give a talk about converting non-exercisers into lifelong exercisers. And that's a topic that's always interesting to me, but I love it when someone has a high intensity training, super slow strength training background, and they say, well, how do we get someone to adopt this? He's going to give an evidence-based approach to that. So Sean is so thoughtful and has just a great background. I can't wait to hear that presentation.
Yeah. And then our last rec talk that we have is PAC, and Andrew Lakis Korakakis. I hope I said that right. So he's also from Solent. So I think he saw that James was coming, and then he saw that James Steele was coming, and he was like, well, I wanna come. So we have all of the Solent PhDs coming to join us for Rec this year. And he's going to be talking about minimum effective training. So we're excited to have all of the Solent researchers.
Focus on strength, isn't it? Is it powerlifting? No.
His background is mainly powerlifting, and his research is mainly powerlifting, but he's going to say, what's the least amount you can do if you really wanted to get strong? And one thing I love about PAC is PAC sees the world differently than James Fisher, and James Fisher sees the world a little bit differently than James Steele, and clearly they all see the world differently than Brad. And so I think we have different opinions and different viewpoints, which leads to great dialogue. But when I look at just these rec talk speakers, the 15-minute talks, like the conference is worth it just for these five, because they're so deep for 15 minutes on one really narrow topic that I think is going to change people's businesses. So I'm really proud of the people we have delivering those presentations. And each one of them could give a wonderful full keynote as well. And then we also have, we always have other elements of the conference. We have an operators roundtable. So one of our franchisees, Tyler Gustafson, who's off to an unbelievable launch to their Discover Strength franchise, a beautiful studio, and they are just killing it. Melissa Gunn at Pure Strength in LA. I think you maybe had her on recently, Lawrence. Blair Wilson, who many of your listeners are very familiar with in Canada at Medics Precision Fitness. And then Kyle, who's the president, Kyle Riccia. I never know if it's a Rikia or Riccia.
Yeah.
I know Kyle way too well to not know.
I say Rekia, but maybe I'm getting it totally wrong.
Well, Kyle, one name, Madonna or Beyonce. He's the president of the Perfect Workout. He's going to be on that roundtable also. So we think the nuance of that roundtable is you got a guy that's running, 60 plus locations of the Perfect Workout. You got a franchisee that's brand new to it. You got studio owners like Blair and Melissa, good experience, but they got the one studio that they're operating. So that's going to be a great roundtable. And then, of course, we also have the keynote roundtable, that I mentioned before, that we always end the conference with that keynote. And then when that conference ends with the keynote, we'll transition back to the big rec party where it's a sit-down dinner. We'll go through all the awards. And to me, that's one of the big highlights of the entire conference.
Yeah, and I'll just run through levels of registration just super quick for your listeners. So all access, this gives you everything in the conference. So educational sessions, it gives you access to the bash, it gives you access to the bus tour. That's 405. Now, if you're someone who wants to bring a couple of your trainers or a couple of people in your business, we do have a group rate, and that brings that 405 down to 359 per registration. So it's a really good idea if you want to bring 2 other people, it brings down that overall price for all access. Our premium is $545, and you get a couple more bonuses to being a premium attendee. So you get lunch provided to you on Saturday. You also get a VIP speaker happy hour, which I think is the most valuable thing. Is like you get an intimate setting with just you.
That's always such a highlight of the conference.
And the speakers, and we provide some other VIP-ish elements as well for our premiums. We do have one other registration level, and that's essentials. So essentials is kind of the bare minimum. It's just all educational sessions and the early morning workout, which we didn't talk about.
Yeah, Saturday kicks off with the early morning workout where we are going to, the Discover Strength staff is going to take all of our attendees through a workout.
And so if you're interested in that, that's $245. So that's our most cost-effective registration level, but that's no bash. And then no studio bus tour. It's just educational.
It is really economical. I can't stand the thought of when the conference ends, you would be leaving and not enjoying the bash. Because the bash is such an important part of all of it, and the award ceremony is such an important part of all of it.
Yeah. Do you just want to repeat the dates, the sort of key information before we wrap up?
Absolutely. It's May 13th and 14th. So it's Friday afternoon and Saturday, pretty much all day. And then, of course, that pre-conference would be May 12th.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And in Minneapolis, Minnesota, obviously.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And awesome. Any other final thoughts? One thing I want to say quickly, and we do need to wrap up, is the early morning workout, which I know we just sort of skated over. It's always been my favorite part of the entire experience. Obviously, I love lots of different elements of it, but the early morning workout is so good, and it's just brutal. It's brutal because you get to experience how Discover Strength deliver workouts. I mean, it's slightly different because you've got a different trainer at every station. So to echo Skylar's point, they have less empathy because they've not been with you during every machine. So it is like really intense, but you'll get a great pump and you'll feel great. And I just think it's good because you get to see how you guys coach exercises. And again, that's something we can all bring back into our own methodology. So I just always look forward to that in a kind of weird, kind of masochistic kind of way. Any sort of final thoughts about the event that you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think a key final thought for me is what I said before. It's if you're passionate about something, it doesn't mean you're going to go learn about it. It's you got to learn about something to drive the passion. And we mistakenly have thought that that's for owners of high intensity training studios, but my goodness, it's for your staff. I mean, rec is designed for your staff. And so from the day Discover Strength opened, if I ever attended something, my first thought was always, well, is this really that valuable? If just I attend it, I need to bring some staff. So we want to encourage your listeners to bring their staff. You're going to spark so much passion, so much buy-in from your staff. Of course, they're also going to be massively upskilled, but you're going to create more loyalty. You're going to create more passion. You're going to create great jumping off points around discussion and all things exercise and business. So number one is, I think, bring your staff. Number two is, I think you got to position this weekend as this is a gathering, and it's truly a part social. It's part learning. It's not, I mean, there's some industries we're going to a conference and the industry is boring as heck. This is just not that. So look at it as, hey, this is kind of like a mini vacation to Minneapolis in May, and I get to be around like-minded people and learn together. And the last thing I would say, and this is just how I'm wired and my personal opinion, is I think your listener has to decide at some point, and I can't make this decision for them, right? Because everyone views it differently, is, am I all in, right? Am I all in on the profession? If you're all in on what you do, this is the one event that you got to be at. And I think part of us dies when we start making decisions that are suggesting that we're not all in, right? Oh, I have a high intensity training business, but I can make things like this a priority. I wouldn't want my clients to know that, right? I wouldn't want my staff to know that. To me, I owe it to my journey toward becoming a master of the craft to attend this. And by the way, this is not a selfish statement because we put it on. Someone else wants to take it over, they can take it over, and we will attend it. We will send every single one of our trainers. We close our doors for days to make sure that our staff are in attendance and our staff are participating and learning and all of it. And so I think to me, it's a message that to yourself, right? We have to make this message to ourselves that I am all in on what I do. I am crescendoing in my development, and I want to become a master of the craft. And this is not the only way you can do that, but this is, I think, one of the most powerful ways.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love that final statement from you there, Luke. Obviously, to get access to learn more and to actually register, go to resistanceexerciseconference.com, right, to do that. We'll have a blog post for this as well, episode 359, where there's details on there too, and links to Rec, where you can register. And obviously on there will be all of the registration options that Hannah just went through. Thank you guys for making the time. Really appreciate it. I'm really, really sad that I won't be there, but I promise you I will be there next year. And again, I just want to echo what Luke said. I think you absolutely should try and make this work for wherever you are in the world. You really want to develop your team and build a great business, or in terms of your own personal training skill set, take that to the next level, then you have to attend REC for sure. So for everyone listening, to find a blog post for this, please go to highintensitybusiness.com, search for episode 359. And until next time, thank you very much for listening.
This episode is brought to you by ARX. You want to be a successful strength training studio owner. The problem is you aren't able to deliver the safest, most efficient and effective workouts, making it harder for you to attract and retain clients, which makes you feel frustrated. I understand that it can be difficult to differentiate your business without the right tools. ARX's breakthrough adaptive resistance technology uses patented motorized resistance and computer software to give you and your clients the perfect workout every single time. BioFit founder John Zarbok says that ARX is clearly the superior tool to deliver the exercise stimulus. My clients are seeing insane improvements in weeks, not months. I could not fathom running my business without ARX. So here's how you get started. Number one, go to arxfit.com/HOB to get $500 off your ARX machines. Number two, book a call with the ARX sales team. And number three, learn how ARX can help you grow your strength training business. Go to arxfit.com/HOB so you can stop struggling to attract and retain clients and start to grow your strength training business with confidence.